All right, testing. All right, thank you all for attending this week. Thank you for coming in. We're going to get started this week. We're going to go right into the software issues that we're all dealing with, so I'll be able to walk us through. Let me first introduce myself. I'm one of the instructors at University Technicians. My name is Rock or Wallace Lewis Temple Jr., or you can call me Temple, whichever one is easier to call or remember. I've been on this journey for about 6-7 years with getting, we'll say, the results of getting the treasury checks directly from the treasury. I would also say I've been getting results with utilizing my trust to create brand new bills or expenses, things of that sort. We'll get into some of my story and things that I've been able to do and accomplish with the trust over time. And then we'll also want to hear from others to see where you are getting results and where you're not getting results. Some of us may not get the results that we thought that we have got once we started the trust. So we want to say to trust, I want to emphasize and say what I mean by the trust. I mean the revocable living trust. We're not trying to mix and match the irrevocable trust as being first or last. We're just saying first, we know that everything that we have already is good to go. We're not here to take away anything or say what you have is wrong. What we're here to do is update or enhance it by saying the revocable living trust is what's going to help you, I guess, maneuver in the government, maneuver around this government, the way they say it. So I'm just getting started with some of my thoughts right now, looking at some of the notes for today. Just want to kind of open up with introductions, testimonials, or anything that people say that they're dealing with. But let me go ahead and pull up the screen first to kind of show you where everything started at for me. And we all started here at universitytechnicians.com. The reason why we use universitytechnicians.com is because it's a private, unincorporated entity. We'll say that it's already created. Actually, this is your example for a business, actually. So everyone that's running a business, you want to go ahead. Why is that stopping? Give me a moment. It seems like I'm having an error with that. Let me go ahead and pull this up. There we go. Should work now. Oh, I gotta add some more people in. Apologies for the delay. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and get started with your business as soon as you possibly can. When we say get started, the IRS is just maybe 15 to 20% of your entire trust journey, just to be honest with you all. So I know that a lot of us are still thinking that taxes is the end all be all, but realistically speaking, I always think of taxes last. I don't think of taxes first. I think of taxes at the end of the year. So this is where I get excited to do taxes, like towards October, November, and December. So I just want to kind of put that out there from my own personal perspective. But some of us may be new to this and we have never heard of doing taxes and using a trust and things of that sort. So I have to at least show you all some presentations of what works and what has worked for me, I'll say for the last 6 to 7 years. Some reason when I share, it keeps making my mic. Does it do it? Yeah, here we go. So it stops. Okay. So what I did, I was able to help produce university technicians or create. And this is what everyone here has to do. You have to create things from scratch. You can no longer use the government. You can't use the corporation. If you're here and you're thinking, hey, let me go ahead and do the trust, but I'm going to go back into the corporation and ask them, what could I do with my trust? Right. So when I deal with this, I had to start all over from scratch. Even with a college degree, we'll say, hey, I have a college degree, or I have a diploma, or I have a high school diploma, or I have a certification. I had to start back from scratch. It didn't work out where I was able to use that prior knowledge that I had. I had friends that were in business. I had people who had businesses, millionaires, all these different people. but they didn't understand how to do it from scratch. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So this is what University Technicians is about. It's about everyone learning how to do all this stuff from scratch. You will not get help. They are not going to help you. Just to kind of burst the bubble for anybody that's thinking, maybe I can get out there and get some help. So what I did is I figured out a way to fast track this information for you all through electronic service, support, and then the last thing we do is repair. Of course, that's like the main thing that we always did anyway. We fix computers, we fix TVs, we fix phones. We can do all that. We're like the electronic one-stop shop guys. But do we focus on fixing electronics all day? No, we actually focus more on electronic service, which is what I'm going to talk about today. But most of us, we're still learning how the government has overnight updated on everybody in 2020, right? So in 2020, they silently did this to kind of make it seem as if everything was, just a slight delay. But what they did, they behind the closed doors, they updated everything onto a website. Everything is online now. So you have full disclosure of all government agencies. Everything that you need to know is online. So that's the first thing to show you all if you're here. If you're going to do this stuff with trust, if you're going to file taxes, make sure that you always know it's a online method. It is not going to be something you mail in or you think that you can bypass them by sending affidavits or things of that sort. You want to be able to do this and master this online. So that's the first thing I had to learn. This was about 6, 7 years ago. So I just want to give you all an intro to what happened to me. What I also learned is once I got that EIN from the IRS, I was able to know the date that I got the EIN, the date that's at the top. It says the date the notice was created is when the trust started in their system. So if I try to go backdate my trust, saying I'm going back 3 years, 4 years, all this stuff, back to my birthday, it's not recognized in the system. It's not going to be recognized because they're going to go off of the date the trust was actually created in their system, not our system. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty of these details, the way the computer works, because that's pretty much my job. I'm just the tech support. So University Technicians is a EIN. It is a trust, right? It's a trust EIN that was able to create a business. So we don't use LLCs. I'll repeat that. We don't use LLCs. Right? We don't want to think of it as a limited liability corporation that I'm still going to use in their system. I don't want to use a limited liability corporation in their system. I want to use a trust, is what we want to say. Once you get out of their system into the revocable living trust, and then you go back into their systems with other trusts. So that's the way I'll explain that for now, because it has to be said in words and also have to be shown examples of exactly what it looks like. So there's layers to this, but I won't go too deep into this, but I'm just giving you all an example of what this looks like if it's an unincorporated entity. It has to be the same example that you see as University Technicians. You got to have the domain name, so you got to have your own domain. As you see, universitytechnicians.com has its own domain. You also have to offer something. So this is a big one for some of us. We're all going to probably get stumped on this one when I talk about this later on, is how you must offer a product or a service. That is the hardest thing I've been dealing with for people for 5 years. I still have people around that still are not offering anything. You're not offering a service. You're not offering a product. I can't buy anything from you because I don't know where to buy it from. You're not showing me that I can buy it. So we're going to get into that, why everyone has to use that EIN document that the IRS gave you as a way to interface back to their government system too. So I'm giving you all layers to this whole thing. It is not an overnight success. So if you're here and you're thinking I'm going to go and grab $1 million overnight, I'm sorry to burst that bubble too, that you're not going to be able to grab $1 million overnight. It's almost impossible for you all to get over at least 50,000 right now, just to kind of be honest with you, because you all have never known how it felt where all your bills are paid and now you have cash left over, right? That's the way you want to think about this. All your bills are paid and now you have cash left over. So I hope I gave a great introduction so far of how this is going to work when you start seeing results. And the results that I've seen for the last 6, 7 years is that I've been able to use trust EINs. When I say trust EINs, I mean exclusively. I've been only using a trust EIN. And what I mean by that, I'm operating through the name that's on the trust EIN. I'm operating through the number that's on the trust EIN. All right, so that's important for us to see this. I'll be having a special guest come in and talk about the layers of the government and why the taxes has been enacted for us for like ever. Like you can't get around taxes. So for some of us who haven't filed taxes for 2, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. Well, today your mind has to change. You have to begin to think of how you can get this done like yesterday. So I know this is a lot of information, but that is why we're here, to be able to go through the information together like it's a group and figure out a way to make this happen, right? So this is a study. This isn't a guru. I'm not a guru. I'm not here to say I know all things. I'm here to know as much as you know, right? So that's why we're here. So I'm proving to you all that I'm able to fulfill the services that I say that I'm doing because I have it on the site. I'm using the trust. These are the things that you all must do the same thing. You must have something that people can see and utilize from you. Don't start small, start big. Because if your trust company is huge, then make sure your trust company stays huge. So a lot of the things that people are going to be going over today that I end up working for university technicians. So I'm not the only person that works university technicians. There's multiple people, right? So I'm one of the guys that help you fill out this one, which most people are going to be dealing with. You're going to be dealing with the sole proprietor tax filing, the 1040 SSN only. So you have to master using the SSN and interface with the government with their software. And you have to e-file all this information online in real time. So the way we do it, we tell you your results comes within 24 to 48 hours. This isn't a long drawn out situation. The only thing is you got to make sure everything is right and correct before you turn it in. If you mess up, if you make a delay, if you miss the filing deadline, they're going to delay you. And I'll be going into that detail today to show you, even if you're now jumping into the game, the IRS is not going to respond to you fast. They're going to respond to you slow because of the way we started dealing with them. So I'm telling you, don't go after the people that's dealing with your money, and start to be more professional. Start thinking of things, how you can do this the way they're actually telling you to do it. So that is my intro for today. I wanted to show how we're going to be talking about the e-file method and the online methods of the government. The sole proprietor tax filing for the 1040. The reason we say sole proprietor tax filing, because if you just try to file your taxes for the individual side, and we'll even go as far as say even the info that Vince has given, right? Even the 1099B, right? You can do that, but if you can't prove you're doing business, then we don't know how you can get around that. We don't know what you're going to say. You have to say that you are doing something, right? The other route is you just fully have faith and trust in your revocable living trust. This means that you use it all the time. You wake up every day, you know about revocable living trust day in and day out, which we know most people are not really doing that. We're new to this. I was too. So I'm being honest. I didn't jump on when I first did my trust. It took me about 2, 3 years. I didn't even really know how to use it. Took me about 2, 3 years. So I'm just going into the intro of my testimonials, where I got to, how I got this far, and why there's a service that deals with this, because you have to do this 100% online. There is no way to send things in and mail things to someone and to this person and that person. So I'm going to close and yield from this point right here, but this is exactly what we're talking about. You're able to cancel your debts. So that means that's the first things first. Cancel all your debts. If you got debts, don't be trying to get some cash back from the IRS if they see your debts in their system. They're like, hey, why don't you just cancel those debts first that you got going on? Add your W-2s. Some of us didn't do it. We got 2, 3 years. You didn't add those W-2s. All right. So if you didn't add your W-2s, the IRS sees it. They're going to delay you. It doesn't matter if you didn't take the taxes out or you say, hey, I didn't tell them to take taxes out. You still was supposed to add those W-2s, right? Add your Schedule C. Look at that. So this is a big one. If you got the revocable trust, because some of us say, I already had the trust. I got the trust already. That's fine. Well, if you had the trust already, the IRS wanted to see, did you add that Schedule C? Are you proving you're doing business every day? On your social side, we're going to say the social. So this is where I get into the layers because I'm the tech guy. I'm looking at the background, the back office stuff. So everyone is different. We're gonna say you can't just get a cookie cutter to this because every person I talk to has a totally different situation. Nobody's situation since I've been starting this has been exactly the same. Claim your dependents. As some of us, we don't care if you got child support. You're still supposed to claim those dependents on those taxes. We're gonna talk about how we're required to do these things. You're required. It's not an option. We don't care if the mom got custody of the children. We don't care. We don't care if the dad or the grandma or somebody else got custody. We don't care if the state got custody. You're still supposed to claim those dependents. I don't know who I'm talking to because I had to go through these same problems and these same steps as everybody else has to go through. You got to write off your income taxes, write them off. We don't say don't pay taxes. We just say write off your taxes. We don't get into all that. I don't pay no taxes. We're going to talk about how this is against what the biblical principles tell you, that you are supposed to think about taxes. You are supposed to believe and know that you're actually dealing with taxes on a day-to-day basis. So what we tell you to do, we help you do through the software is to write off income taxes. Last but not least, which everybody's jumping to, which we know I did too. I tried to jump to it myself, but then I had to go back and look at some things and make sure I figured out a few of those tight ends, which was to file the 1099 miscellaneous, NECs, etc. That's all of us who's been on the contractor, independent contractor. You still got to file those 1099s. That's right. Even if you work with Uber, you could have worked with Lyft. We don't know. We got all types of situations where you may have forgot about it, but the IRS is looking at that information. They're saying, "Hey, did you put that in that year that you grabbed that NEC, that you got that miscellaneous, that you got that so on, right? And 1099B, right? Even the 1099B." So we're going to get into all these layers of the taxes, but we have to first begin where we all have to start. Now, we don't charge you money per se the way that you think, but we're going to also say that there's value to it. So the total cost in their system is about $530 just to do one walkthrough. We're talking about one walkthrough with somebody doing this information in real time because you're supposed to already have everything together. It's 24 to 48 hours, you get your results. And that is how fast this information goes. So we just want to make sure everyone is knowing what you're doing and making sure that you're ready. Another thing that we do to test to make sure you're ready, we do a free consultation before you make a payment. So do not try to pay us first and say, hey, I'm ready to do my taxes. I'm ready to do the walkthrough. We are not able to accept that payment first. We have to do a consultation. Right, we have to do it's available upon request. So we're not gonna hound you. We're not gonna email you and send you advertisements. We're not the corporation. I can't advertise. Matter of fact, I don't have the money to advertise. Right? You can't beat these people with their advertising game. So this is available upon request. And what we do is you learn how to use the online software, how to e-file a revocable trust sole proprietor. That's all we deal with. We don't deal with you just trying to do the sole prop. You can't do it by itself. You got to do the revocable trust along with your sole prop. We'll get into all these layers. I won't go too far into this too much, but I'm going to read the rest of this and I'm going to yield from the mic from this and give another person a chance to speak on any comments, questions, or shares. And then we'll have our guest presenter coming in with some information about taxes and some of the biblical principles we'll get into about taxes as well. Your first thing you're going to do is you're going to add up all your debts, your bills, and your expenses. Very important that you do that. You're going to do this through publication 4681 as directed by irs.gov. So we don't make up our information. We get it right from the IRS. We follow their instructions. They tell you exactly to do this. So that's where your numbers are coming from. All right. If you can't prove it, don't do it. Or next, you're going to clear out all your debts, your balances on your social security card. That's right, on your social card. We got people jumping into the trust. We're like, well, what about your debts and your balances that you didn't pay on your social card? We don't care if the bank account closed. We don't care if the credit card closed. Did you add the balances for that year? Clear out all your debts and balances on your social card annually by purchasing this service and walk through every year. So that means if you do this correctly, you'll be doing the same thing like how you would have done it at the tax office. But now you're on the unincorporated side. So we're like an unincorporated tax office. Results for credibility and credit reports will be updated. So that means once you do this, you will see your credit report update. This is a fact. The IRS system runs the credit report agencies. We got people that's still asking questions about this, but we're saying, hey, you can do other methods of cleaning your credit up, but no method works best than filing your taxes. This will occur within 120 days after acceptance of any return by the Internal Revenue Service. So it takes time. So don't think, hey, it's going to pull up in about 30 days and you're going to get out and go grab a new credit card. It's not that fast. So it takes time in these IRS people's system. All errors and frivolous filings or purported tax returns, because some of y'all get those letters and you give up and you say, hey, I knew this was wrong. I'm not going to mess with these IRS people, but we tell you to respond to those letters, which we'll talk about. They will be covered for free assistance to correct any errors to send a corrected return to the Internal Revenue Service. So it's very important that we help you how to do that too. So if you get an error letter from the IRS or a penalty letter, you owe $5,000, you owe $10,000 and all this stuff, you got to respond. We're going to talk about that. Last but not least is free amendment support to correct errors in the past debts. So these are the things you get when you deal with the software services, online. So we don't get into all that paper stuff where you're writing on the paper and you're trying to send it in with all these documents and all these affidavits. We don't get into that. We're going to prove to you how this doesn't really get you as far as you need to go. But that is what we're going to be talking about today, is some of the software methods that we'll get into with the trust. And the software methods are actually more effective with the trust than if you try to do it with your manual or customized methods. So I yield the mic for now, and I just give opportunity for anyone that wanted to raise their hand, or if you can type in the chat first so we don't have a cloud of people trying to raise their hand at the one time. And we got our big brother, our presenter that'll be coming in, guest presenter. He'll be speaking about some biblical principles. I'll also be going into a few biblical principles. He'll be speaking to us about maybe 30, 40 minutes, and then we'll get into some of the exercises with the software this week. So I yield the mic for now. Give someone else a chance. Okay, so I see someone that's asking a question right here in the chat. And the question is, what if your sole proprietor has been issued, but you don't know what it is? Okay, so short answer is we don't get a sole proprietor issued. We'll be talking about how your sole prop is activated through the revocable living trust. So the only thing you need to activate your sole prop will go right back to those trust instrument, that trust instrument again that I'll be talking about. Let me see if I can pull a preview. Here we go. So that'll be the trust instrument that will activate your sole prop. It has to be executed. As you all can see my example right here. I'll give you all the color example. Make sure it's in color. Make sure you have it sealed. This is what activates the sole proprietor. Because the same way that you came into the world is the same way you got to come out of their world, right? Because they said to put the footprint of the baby, the soul of the baby on the print, right? On the paper. This is why we put the thumbprint. So some people may have missed this stuff right here, this thumbprint. But this is your way out. The same way they put you in. So I hope that answers the question. The sole proprietor is your revocable living trust instrument that allows you to become the sole proprietor. There is no way that you grab the sole prop corporation EIN. So I'm going to make sure I say that just for the clarity. The sole prop EIN is part of the corporation. And I yield. Okay, we got C that raised the hand. So go ahead, C. I think that was your question. I was in the board, but go ahead and speak if you need.
No, that wasn't my question. Hi. I
Okay,
want
okay.
to
That's
ask,
another C.
yeah, I want to, what if you own a business? Like I have a trucking business, so I have to file the tax return for that. So would I file like a tax return for that, also for personal tax, and then file a trust tax? So would that be three tax returns?
Uh, Short answer is yes. So you have your own tax return with your social. You'll have a tax return with the trust EIN, and you'll have a tax return with that other EIN that you have for the trucking business. Could be an LLC. So yes, there are three different tax returns when one has three different businesses.
Okay, so now I know you were saying to do, well, Vince was saying to do the A and B's. So when we do the A's, we would do that first, and then we supposed to wait till we get in transcript and then do the B's, or we could do it all at once.
Short answer is all things that I'm showing will be done online
Okay.
within 24 to 48 hours.
Oh, so all the those B's and all these things will be doing that all together.
When you say we all, when you come to
I
me,
mean,
I'm
oh,
expecting you to be ready, right? So I'm saying that all that information needs to be input in the system the same day, right? So this isn't something that you grab and you do one thing here, one thing there. Your taxes, everything that you have must be added up into the system for that year. That's what I'm saying. All your businesses. So that means all the total amount for one of your businesses, the total amount for your trust, the total amount for your sole prop. Those are all three different businesses. They all have to be added up to a number.
okay, but we're doing the I don't know if that's supposed to be some separate information, but we're doing the A's and B's. Am I supposed to like say have that file those first and then come back, say if I'm doing it with you and then come back that's already put in the system and then come back and do the 1040s and 1041 and stuff like
No,
that?
no, 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 no. You don't understand. Once you
Okay.
send in this information, the IRS is expecting immediate answers to be input into the system. So this
Okay.
isn't a waiting game. That's what I keep trying to tell everyone. When you do your A's and B's, it's the same day. You do the A's, the B's, and the 1040 the same day. You do your A's, your B's, and your 1040, or you just do your B's, I'm sorry, and your 1041 the same day. Because the 1041 doesn't have the A. The 1041 just has the B's. And the OIDs, I think, on the 1041 side.
Okay.
So when you guys get to me, I'm the software guy. I'm just gonna go in and say, hey, these are your numbers. Let's go ahead and input this information into these places.
Okay. So when we come to you, you're gonna guide us with the whole for whatever amount that we're paying here. You're gonna guide us to doing, is it one of the tax or three taxes or whatever? Is
No,
it
no,
like a package or like
no,
my
no.
situation?
It's one tax per
One
time
tax
per situation. Correct.
per situation. Okay.
One EIN, right? This
Uh-huh.
this one that I just showed would be, for instance, would be your social. That'll be your first EIN or your business that I need you all to file. Is your social security card. That's your first business, right?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Makes sense? Okay. Well, I should say that gives clarity. Gives clarity?
Yes, a little bit much better. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so the floor is open for any testimonials, comments, questions, and then we'll be giving over the presentation over to our guest presenter. I think he's in now, Brother Malik Trey. He'll be going into some knowledge of the biblical principles of taxes, I believe. But I think he'll give more details of what he'll be speaking on in just a point. Let me answer this last question before Brother Malik comes in right here. So we got Broth at 632. They asked the question, how do we add child support to taxes or add the children as dependents? Okay, so you asked the question, but then you added the answer here. Do we send 1099-A to the Department of Fiscal Service in order to get the QSIP and ball rolling and entities get a 1099-A? So you asked like three questions or four, actually. You actually asked four questions in the question. So that I got you right here. So the first part, the short answer is this for all of your questions. Short answer is you got to get the total number so that I can know that you're going to add on your 1040. So however much total amount it costs for child support for the whole year, you need that number. That's first things first. You can't do a 1099-A or a B or even get a QSIP if you don't even know how much total amount you owe for the child support. So that's why we say that's a debt. So that'll be considered a debt. You have to pay the total amount. You can't pay payments on it, which most people we get caught into making monthly payments. You don't make monthly payments anymore once you do the trust. You have to say, I'm going to pay the total amount for the entire year, or you have to say, I'm going to make the total payment for 18 years in the future, which they call those futures contracts. So child support is like a futures contract, and you can do a 1099-B for the futures contract. So I hope that helps with the answer. You need to do the A and the B, but you need the total number for child support first. All right, so we got last question here, and I'll let Brother Malik, if he's here. The question is, can you clarify SSN being the first business? Okay, so that is important. Kind of clarity. I'll give this clarity because we have some good videos on this in the past. And we talk about how your business is the sole proprietor and how your soul is already in business before they created your social security card. So really your sole proprietor is your first business because your mother and father gave you the name and the government didn't give you that name. So that's the first thing they try to teach us when I was growing up. They'll say, hey man, what you doing, man? You using my government. They start using my government name. And I'm like, wait a minute. No government name, what you talking about? But anyway, the whole point was it's really the name your mom and dad gave you, the name your father gave you, the name your mother gave you, was before the Social Security office came into place. Same with the birth certificate. The name came before the birth certificate. The name came before the driver's license or ID. So what exactly are we claiming? We're claiming the name. So that is your business. And we'll get into why you're supposed to be into your father's business, right? Not the government. So we're getting to why you're supposed to be about your father's business, but not about the government. So hopefully that gives clarity to the social security number as well as the social security name. Being able to be saved, you're able to save it by going into the soul. That's why we have the soul savings. But this is a lot of things to unpack. So I'm just giving you all the words that you must understand, but we'll get into more details a little bit later. So I yield the mic for now. Thank you all. Peace.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Malek Trey, and today I wanted to introduce one to the concepts of taxation from the Roman Republic and how even in the Bible, the protagonist in the New Testament would also deal with the issue or the question of taxation without representation. So we want to look today as I expound upon some biblical texts that actually deal with this taxation that Brother Wallace has been discussing with you upon the last hour. I will first start with a manuscript. It's a Syriac manuscript before I actually get into the what everyone knows as the Protestant books of the Bible. So I want to first start with something from the Eastern Orthodox perspective, or the Eastern Orthodox churches. I will present a manuscript here that talks about that taxation. So I will present not only biblical texts, but we'll also look at secular references as well to also corroborate what is written in the text. So we'll be able to look and be able to compare and contrast many of these discussions as we divulge into taxation by Rome in the Biblios. So without any further ado, Brother Wallace, do I have access to share the screen? Okay, thank you, sir. This is the manuscript that I first want to present to you. I'll give you, here's the information, the academia information. So we're going to start first here with the book of the Cave of Treasures, a history of the patriarchs and the kings, their successions from the creation. As I mentioned, translated from the Syriac text in the British Museum by Sir E.A. Burgess. These are his credentials. Keeper of Egyptian and Assyrian antiquities within the British Museum. He's also corresponding member of the Academics of Science in Lisbon and corresponding member of the Philosophical Society of America. So within this Eastern manuscript, I'm going to turn us first to page 106. Going to start here to kind of give context, existential of the Biblios or the Bible. So we'll look here as the first precept that I'll bring forth, because I will present other independent witnesses to corroborate some of the things here mentioned. So we see here, it says, which I have and highlighted, it says, all the men who were under the rule of Herod, that's King Herod the Great, Herod the Edomite, were in that registration for taxation. And the registration was complete in 50 days. And it was not until this registration was completed and sealed, and until Herod had sealed it and sent it to Augustus in Rome, that the Mashiach was searched for up to that time. And this has the column, this is a famous seal, so it has an actual image. No children had been slain, and it was during the commotion caused by the registration that Christ was born. So this is my first pretense, speaking on the registration for taxation. Now, what we will do, we will actually go and look at we'll look at Luke chapter 2, verses 1 to 3, in order to give us another witness to this taxation that will be occurring. And so with Luke chapter 2, verses 1, and it came to pass in those days that there came a decree from Augustus Caesar that all the world should be taxed. Verse 2, this first taxing was made when Cornelius was governor of Syria. Now, verse 2, I will be using the book of the Antiquity of the Jews by Flavius Josephus, where in book 18, chapter 1, we will actually look at this Quintilius, who was the governor of Syria. So hold fast. Verse 3, therefore, when all to be taxed, every man to his own city. 8, verse 4, and Joseph also went up to Ha-Galileo, out of a city named Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David. Verse 5, to be taxed with Mary, that was given him to wife which was his child. So I'm gonna pause right here so that we can also see some secular information here as I pulled up really quickly. Caesar Augustus tax decree date. It says 6 CE, which is CE means the common era. Uh, Under other names, it would be 6 AD in the Annos Domini, in the year of our Lord. So this says the tax decree issued by Caesar Augustus, also known by the name as Octavian, the adopted son of Julius Gaius Caesar, who was at the time gave all the rights to Octavian, and Octavian would destroy Mark Antony and thus become the sole ruler of what is known as the birth of the Roman Empire. It says often associated with census of Quintilius, which took place in 6 CE. This census was conducted by the governor of Roman Syria, Publius Supercilius Quintilius, and was part of a broader initiative to assess property ownership for taxational purposes. So why was this census made? It was simply for property owners to be taxed. Now, it give you a little insight. Under Roman law, property owners had to register for taxation in the district where they owned land. So this is why in the Biblios, Joseph would go back to Bethlehem because his father had land there. Therefore, he was a landowner who was registering the land to be counted in the property assessment for taxation. So this is why he would be going there. Also, Caesar Augustus was the first in history to order a census, or what better known as a tax assessment, of the whole providential empire. And we also have Egyptian papyri to corroborate this story, because it said every 14 years they did a census uh, found in Egypt. They would do a census as well about tax assessment. And the papyri that was found in Egypt uses the same Greek word that was also used by Luke as well when he mentioned this census or decree. So this is my second existential information concerning taxation. So I will now lead you to the works of Flavius Josephus. This is the works of Flavius Josephus. This is book 18, chapter 1, dealing with how Cyrenius was sent by Caesar to make a taxation of Syria and Judea, and how Coponius was sent to be procurer of Judea concerning Judas the Galileans. So as we read here, it says, now Cyrenius, who the Romans called Quintilius, a Roman senator and one who had gone through other magistracies and had passed through them till he had been consul, and one who on other accounts was of great dignity, came at this time into Syria with a few others, being sent by Caesar, that's Caesar Augustus, to he, a judge of that nation, and to take an account of their substance. So the census was to give an account to Caesar how much substance was in Judea. Coponius, also a man of the equestrian order, meaning he was up there in Roman society, being part of the equestrian order, was sent together with him to have the supreme power over the Jews. Moreover, Cyrenius came himself into Judea, which was now added to the province of Syria, to take an account of their substance and to dispose of Aurelius' money. But the Jews, although at the beginning they took the report of a taxation heinously, yet did they leave off any further opposition to it, by the persuasion of Jehoazar, who was the son of Bethius and high priest. So they, being overpersuaded by Jehoazar's words, gave an account of their estates without any dispute about it. Yet was there one Judas, a Galanite of a city whose name was Gamaliel, who taken with Sadducees, a Pharisee, became zealous to draw them to revolt, who both said that this taxation was no better than an introduction to slavery, and exhorted the nation to assert their liberty. Exhort it, as if they could procure them happiness and security for what they possess, and they assured enjoyment of a still greater good, which was that of the honor and glory they would thereby acquire for magnanimity. They also said that God would not otherwise be assisting to them than upon their joining with one another in such counsel as might be successful and for their own advantage. And this especially as they did would set about great exploits and not grow weary in executing the same. So men received what they said with pleasure, and this bold attempt proceeded to a great height. All sorts of misfortune also sprang from these men, and the nation was infected with this doctrine to an incredible degree. One violent war came upon us after another, and we lost our friends, which used to alleviate our pain. There was also very great robberies and murder of our principal men. This was done in pretense, indeed, for the public welfare, for in reality, the hopes to gain to themselves, where arose sedition. So this Josephus, who's a contemporary who lived during this time period, has given us information that when this taxation came to the Jews or the Judeans, they were in uproar of being taxed or being assessed to be taxed, meaning that the land that they own or the property that they own will now be counted as income to be taxed by the Roman government. So this is Flavius Josephus' first introduction in giving us an insight from the inhabitants of Judea during this time period. What was the temperature of the nation? The nation was greatly against being taxed by Rome or having their property that been handed down from father to son be taxed because this was new. This was something that had not happened to the Judeans being taxed. And so this is why we see in Luke chapter 2, Joseph is going back to Bethlehem where his father has property and thus to give an account of that property so that it can be adequately taxed. Now, I want to turn you to another section in this book of Josephus that also goes into other intricacies about this taxation and how it brought about civil unrest uh, due to the misery of taxation, that the tax was so burdensome that the people, as we read, said that it was a form of slavery, being a debt slave to this taxation because of the levy of tax that was put on Judeans that actually own property. So let me go down. I want to look at this is also chapter 2, where we also see again this same Quintilius in chapter 2, how he deals with Archelaus, who is under King Herod the Great. When Cyrenius had now disposed of Archelaus' money, and when the taxing were come to a conclusion, which was made in the 37th year of Caesar's victory over Anthony of Actium. So therefore, this gives us some historical context of the time period and who Caesar in general that he's actually mentioned, because there's only one Caesar in history that had victory over Anthony Actium. He deprived Gehazi of the high priesthood, which dignity had been conferred on him by the multitude, and he appointed Ananias, the son of Seth, to be high priest, while Herod and Philip had each of them received their own tracharchy and settled the affairs thereof. Herod also built a wall about Sepphoris, which is the security of all Galilee, and made it the metropolis of the country. So Herod redirected money in order to appease Cyrenius by also building up money to say that the money that he was incurring, he was spending on projects. Thus, he built Sepphoris, a wall on the side of Galilee, and what turned it into a metropolis, meaning that it was a New York stylistic city. He also built a wall round about Bartholomeus, which was itself a city also, and is called Julius for the name of the emperor's wife, who is Caesar Augustus. When Philip also had built Panias, a city at the foundation of Jordan, he named it Caesarea. So that is the city known as Caesarea. He also advanced the villages Bethsaida, situated at the lake of Gadarenes, unto the dignity of a city, both by the number of inhabitants it contained and its other grandeur, and called it by the name of Julius, the same name with Caesar's daughter. So this is Octavius Caesar's daughter. So they built cities and named them after the Caesar because it was because of Caesar that the Herodians, or the Herod and his descendants, are ruling Judea. So this is them paying tribute by building cities and building walls and building projects and giving honor back to Rome or Caesar. So this is the second mention of a census, and I also will look at verse 2. As Capaneus, who was told you was sent along with Cyrenius, was exercising his office of procurator and governing Judea, the following accidents occurred. So, as the Jews were celebrating the feast of unleavened bread, which was called the Passover, it was customary for the priests to open the temple gates just after midnight. Therefore, the gates were open, and some of the Samaritans came private in Jerusalem and threw about dead men's bodies into the coasters. So they were doing this in trying to stir up the people against Rome and against this taxation, and they became zealots, meaning that they wanted to fight not only against Herod, who was appeasing, or the middleman who was uh, enforcing this taxation done by uh, Caesar Augustus, also known as Octavian. So I want to go down a little bit till we get to chapter 3 also. And we see that this is a perspective of how deeply this had affected some of the people that were under this rule, because they also petitioned Pontius Pilate later on, because this would be a census that would carry on every so often. Just like here in America, we have a census done in America. So this is why many of the things that the Americans do is also represented in previous governments, i.e. the Republic, Roman Republic. And this is why America calls itself a republic. So it's following the first republic of the world, which is Rome. So, so also they carry out this same census to count the number of people, but also to do the exact thing that Caesar Augustus was doing, to tax assess the populace. And so this is one key point showing how even if you don't believe the Bible, some of the perspectives of the Bible do have some relevancy in the secular world, in the outside of what they call the Biblios. And so and also many of these projects and many of these cities were built to Caesar Augustus. And so this is why we will see in the verse I want to get to is Matthew 22, where the Herodians asked Jesus, is it lawful to pay taxes? But I want to give you the backdrop, and this is all the backdrop information that will be finalized in the consummation when I get to Acts chapter 22. But I want to lay the groundwork in showing you that existential of the Biblios, there is information that talks about this taxation that Rome would put on many of its provinces that were under its jurisdiction. And so this taxation, this census, were instrumental to the Republic. And so some of the things that they did when they built these cities, they also built statues to Caesar, giving honor to Caesar because he was deified as a god. And this would be at a abhorrent to some of the Judeans that lived in Judea. And so one of the cities that this happened, here is some of the perspectives, because they were using money that was taxed by Judea in order to fund many of these projects. They were taking out of the holy treasury in order to do some of these things, which I'll be able to identify a little bit later as well. And it says the Jews petitioned Pilate again. He gave a signal to the soldiers to encompass them around and threatened that their punishment be no less than immediate death unless they would leave off disturbing him and go their way home. But they threw themselves upon the ground and laid their necks bare and said they would take their death very willingly rather than the wisdom of their law should be transgressed, upon which Pilate was deeply affected with their firm resolution to keep their laws inviolable, and presently command the image to be taken back from Jerusalem to Caesarea. So this was the condition that they were willing to die for the belief in being taxed and having their land being taken if they couldn't pay the tax to Caesar. So this was a lot of the political climate that was going on. So this is why Rome would always have armies around Judea as a way to keep the populace down, because it was many of the populace of Judea was against this form of taxation. Now, I want to introduce you to another biblios. Let me see. Let me go back here. Let me pull this down. And this is from Acts chapter 5. And this will also mention this same taxation that would actually be occurring. We're going to look at Acts chapter 5, verse 34. We'll read further down till we get to verse 37. There stood in the council of a certain Pharisee named Gamaliel, a doctor of the Torah, honored of all the people of Judea. That's where he's at, and commanded to put the apostles forth a little space. And he said unto the men of Yasharel, take heed to yourselves, whatever you intend to do touching these men. For being these times rose up Thaddeus, boasting himself, to whom resorted a number of men, about 400, who were slain. For they all and they all which obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught. So these were the zealots that rose up against this taxation, which Rome suppressed and killed 400 of those men. This is the same instance where we just read here in Flavius Josephus, talking about the zealots who was against this taxation and actually started to take up arms against the Rome, and the Rome squashed what they call the sedition or the rebellion. Let's continue. After this man rose up Judah of Galilee in the days of the tribute. This tribute, as we look over here, this is the Orthodox Jewish Bible over here, and we'll see in verse 37, we see it says the same thing. After this was Judah of Galilee, excuse me, in the days of the census, that same census that we saw in Luke chapter 2, verses 1. Still showing that census will still be being taken. And we see that this Gamaliel is a Pharisee. So when we get to Matthew chapter 22, this is why the Pharisees and the Herodians would ask Yeshua about rendering unto Caesar, or should we lawfully pay our taxes unto Caesar? But I want to give you the backdrop of why the Pharisees were, because we see Gamaliel, one of the chief Pharisees. He's the Lord over the Torah, meaning he's the adept member of the Torah. Now, I want you to pay close attention to who this Gamaliel, because one of his prime or best pristine students, his magnum cum laude, one of his best students was none other than Saul. Now, I'm going to prove this to you when we go to Acts chapter 22. So Saul, whose name was Paul, also believed in these same sentiments because he was educated by this Gamaliel who was a Pharisee. But I want to show you the evidence continue to corroborate this story. Matthew 22, 1-3, he says, "Ye men, brethren, and fathers, hear my defense now towards you." And when they heard that he spoke in the Hebrew tongue to them, they kept the more silent, and he said, I am verily a man which am a Yahudim, born in Tarsus in Sicilia, but brought up in this city at the feet of Gamaliel, and instructed according to the perfect manner of the Torah of the fathers, and was zealous towards Yah as ye all are this day. So we see Gamaliel, Paul, who's following the sentiments taught by Gamaliel, and Gamaliel being a chief of the Torah. So he told these men that to leave the apostles alone, let them preach what they want to preach about giving taxation or laws, or because if what they say is true, then it will come true, and if it is false, then it won't have any value. So Paul is also mentioning that all the things that he learned, all the tenements that he learned it from the same Gamaliel, who was well respected among all the people of Judea. So let me fast forward to Matthew chapter 22. Now, I'm going to read verse 20 because I want to hold y'all up too much, but I want to kind of get onto this taxation. All right, so I want to give you a little pretext earlier. Right, we'll start right here in verse 15. And then went the Pharisees and took counsel how they may tangle him in talk. So and it's verse 16. And they sent unto him their disciples with the Herodians. Now these Herodians were sympathizers of Herod. These were Hellenized Jews, meaning they were Greek Jews who were influenced by Greek philosophy, Greek way of thought, Greek way of life. And the Herodians, King Herod was also one of those Hellenized Edomites. Even though he wasn't a Jew, he was a Hellenized Edomite whose ancestor Antipater worked with Gaius Julius Caesar. And so this is how the Herodians, or the Herod and his Herodian dynasty, were able to rule Judea. Saying, Master, we know that thou art true and teachest the way of God truly. Neither carest for any man, for thou consider not the person of men. Tell us, therefore, how thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give a money tribute or to be taxed unto Caesar or not? But Yeshua perceived their wickedness and said, Why tempt me, ye hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. Show me the money. Well, we see over here in the Orthodox Hebrew, it says right here, therefore, tell us what to you seems right. Is it permissible to pay poll tax to Caesar or not? Again, paying your taxes. He says, show me the tribute money, or show me the tax money. And they bought him a penny. And he said to them, Who is this image and superscription? They said unto him, Caesar's. Then he said unto them, Give therefore to Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and give unto God the things that are God's. So we see, he says, Show me the coin of the poll tax. And they bought to him a denarius. So let me show you what a denarius. So this is what Yeshua would be looking at. This is exactly what they would hand Yeshua. There was a Roman denarius. So he says, who image is on the poll tax? And what is the superscription? This is the superscription. So this is what is being asked. And this is what Yeshua would be seeing. at the time. And so that's why I asked whose face is on it, and they said this is Caesar. And what is the inscription? What is the subscription? This is Caesar's denarius, representing the poll tax. This is the money they would have to pay upon the tax. They would have to pay in dinars. So they have to pay their taxes in dinars. So this is kind of to give you another perspective of how even in the New Testament or the Besorah, Yeshua said to pay Caesar what belongs to Caesar. So if Caesar has implemented taxes, then you should pay your taxes. This is what he is denoting. The things that are of Caesar's belongs to Caesar. So he is the ruling, he has jurisdiction over this currency. Therefore, you must pay him. If he demands currency, you must pay in the currency that he asks to be paid on. And so this is how today, if we look at how this is applicable today, is when the Federal Reserve or the IRS asks you to pay your taxes. And many people say, well, I don't feel like I should pay my taxes. Well, Brother Wallace is just showing us in these scriptures here or in the Biblios how the principle of paying taxes and what was Yeshua's response to the question by the religious, because the Pharisees were religious and the Herodians were secular. So today that'd be like the Democrats and the Republicans came in as an independent about should the Democrat Party or the Republican Party or us together collectively, as well as you as the independent, should we all pay the government its taxes? So that's what it would be in today's world. If you are the individual or you being the independent and the two major parties are asking you your opinion on should we pay, i.e. the big government or big daddy. So this is a very key point to understand is the Roman law, which is predicated upon English law, Chancery Court. And then understanding that also has English law, has some tenements that come out of Roman law, i.e., this is why we see that Rome was the republic and also America is a republic. We have a Senate, the first republic. The Roman Republic had a Senate, and so we see many of the Rome sent out a census or a tax assessment upon the people to tax the property owners. Notice it taxed the property owners, people who own tangible assets and collateral. They want to know how much collateral or assets you had because that determined your wealth. So you made even Joseph in the Biblios, he is a carpenter, but yet his father, or he is an inheritor, he's a beneficiary of the land that is entrusted to his father in Bethlehem. So when the decree came, this is why Joseph must return to his land to what? Assess his land. See, he has, how big is the acreage of land? What is the space? What is growing on the land? So he must now give account of the property that he owns in his father's land. And so this is how that we see that happening even today in the American society where people pay, say, property taxes. So this is nothing new under the sun. That this is just a recoursing of ancient history that was going on 2,000 years before it is happening today. For example, I'm in the state of Florida where Rob DeSantis said he wants to eliminate property taxes. He said if it's your land, you should own the land into perpetuity. Well, this is the same, and this is the same idea that the Judeans had, that this land should be our land, and we should not be taxed for land that we inherit. Because why? The land's supposed to be entrusted to us as beneficiaries of the trust set up by my, i.e., father. And so we are a family with property that is entrusted into perpetuity. existential of the jurisdiction of the Roman government. So this is the idea of the Judeans during the time of the among the Judeans during the time of Christ, is that this is how they felt about being charged a tax for property when there was never a quote unquote tax to each individual person's property. So this is just some of how America, we can look at things from secular history. Also, for religious people who follow Christianity, they can also look at the tenements that are in these scriptures, which I provided, and they are able to then see how it is applicable in their everyday life, in their everyday walk. This is why you have taxation. But we see that the levy of taxation was so burdensome upon the children of Judah that they said it felt like slavery to them. And we see that the quote unquote founding fathers of America said no taxation without what representation. Well, this is not a new idea. That this idea also existed in Judea during the time of Yeshua. So I don't want to hold out any much longer, and I thank y'all for the time that you allowed me to present some secular information in conjunction with biblical references as well, to present the perspective of paying your taxes by a government who's asking you to pay your fair share of taxes, or the levy that they implement the taxation on, that Americans or America, that the principles that we are following have been predicated by other civilizations before us, i.e. Caesar Augustus being the first one to actually set out a census roll for all of the empire that was under its jurisdiction. And I yield. Thank you for your time and your patience.
Thank you. That was amazing, man. That's an amazing presentation you gave us from biblical principles. Thank you for that, Brother Malik. And I have a few questions just before I let you go. And I thought you brought up I think you brought up a text or a script. It talked about Yeshua, Jesus, saying, "Give unto Caesar unto what is unto Caesar," and I think it also says, "Render unto render unto Caesar." So is that basically saying that we're actually looking at our tax returns? Like, is that more like what that can say today? That it seems like more of that we have to do those things based upon taxes or based on what you've been presenting to us? That's just my thought. I didn't want to take it in too much, but I think that's where you have pointed out right here. Here we go. It says they said unto him Caesar's.
Right here, they say unto him, whose images or whose coinage is this? Because he said, show me the tribute money, show me what you paying this tax with. And they showed him a penny, which is a denarius
Okay.
in the Roman sense. And so he said that render unto Caesar what is Caesar, because Caesar's image, which I showed you here, in the image here, this is the coinage that Yeshua is actually examining. This is the poll tax. So
Gotcha.
he asks, who is that? Because Yeshua doesn't know who this man is that is on this coin. So the Pharisees, who are in connection with the Herodians, which are Hellenized Jews who are Greek influence, who also understand Greco-Roman culture, they immediately tell him, "Oh, that's Caesar. That is Caesar who you were looking at." And he asks, what is superimposed on that coin?" And so this is Caesar's coin. This is the literature as well as the image and the symbols that go with his coinage. So this is why he said, "Look at your taxes and pay him in the thing that he requires of you. And if this is what he requires to pay him, then that is what you must pay him." So this is why he says, "Render unto Caesar what is Caesar." So we're under the government of Rome. So when they come to tax us, They say the only way you can pay your taxes, you can't bring us bread, you can't bring anything, you can't barter with us, but in this currency. This is the global currency of the Roman Empire. So this is how the Caesar Augustus is controlling the populace under the Roman jurisdiction. And so the currency is this coin right here. So this is why Yeshua would tell the Pharisees, who are the religious sect of the Judeans, as well as the Herodians. So these are your intellectuals, your philosophers, who also sympathize with the Herodians or Herod, who is sitting on the throne, because why? They are getting residuals by being on Herod's side, who has favors with Rome, who has favors with the top dog or Caesar. So this is how this is working. This is a network. Herod and then his group of intellectuals who sympathize with Rome, they get a cut and a position at the table. Then you have the Pharisees who despise Rome, but know that they have to live in this government and also this empire, which is Rome. So they say, we don't like them, but we still got to play ball with them. But the Herodians are sympathizers with Herod in the bequest of Rome. So when these two, religious and the secular, come together, this is why I was saying something like a Democrat, Republican, because they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. When they come together and they say, let's both us corroborate against the independents. So let's see, can we draw the independents on either one of our sides, or can we get all of them to go all on one side? So this is why they pose to Yeshua this question, because they want to see his mind state. Will he disagree with paying unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar? Then they would be able to accuse him of being anti-government, of being an anarchist, and then they can bring him up on charges of anarchy or sedition, because Malcolm X said that they brought Yeshua up on charges of sedition. So being seditious is what? Being anti-government. So not paying your taxes would be anti-government. You'd be going against Caesar, because why? Whose coin, whose face is on the money? Caesar. And what? Caesar is what? In God we trust, because why? Caesar was a god. And so, and the US dollar also has what? In God we trust. What do you trust in? That money. That is God. And so Caesar is showing us the precursor to the American dollar. That Caesar was a man who is deified as a god, and he is what? The ruler of the jurisdiction. He's the god over the jurisdiction of the Roman Empire, and this is his coinage. This is his currency, and everyone must pay in this currency. And if you deviate from paying in this currency, the penalty would be death. You pay or you die. So I want everybody to understand, it's not how we have the right to say we don't want to pay. Oh, you were going to pay. You were going to pay, they were going to kill you and then confiscate all your belongings. Correct. And then it became what? Property of the state.
In those times, yes, absolutely.
Correct. So in the same way, you don't pay your property taxes here, what? The bank or whoever comes over and the state confiscates your property and sells your property at pennies on the dollar, or levies your properties to pay your quote unquote taxes to the state, which is part of the government. So nothing new is under the sun, Brother Wallace. I'm showing you how the Roman Republic and the American Republic do the same tenements. 2,000 years separated, but the principles are still the same. The debt class, the slave class, they are what will be taxed the most. And that's why they want to eliminate you having the ability to own property. So therefore, the property will be owned only by the elite, which is what Caesar and many of the Roman officials would do when you didn't pay your taxes. Because now I have the right under the law, because you haven't paid your taxes. Now I can come confiscate your stuff, and now it become my stuff.
Right.
And then I register your stuff with the government back in Rome, and now it's mine.
Man, it sounds like tax deed sales nowadays.
All right, they're foreclosing. They're foreclosing, and they're making you do a quick sale. So these are some of the systems that was already done by Rome. Making you have a mortgage. Notice how the root. Understand how that word mortgage is broke down. It's death. It has death in it. A mortgage is death. So
Correct.
because you're never gonna ever own the land. You're a dead individual to the land because the land always gonna be quote unquote taxed by the government or jurisdiction over the land, which is again following in Roman law. And when he could, and this is what Nero did in 63. This is why he burned Rome to the ground so that way he could confiscate the rich people property because he wanted it. He said they had the best land, and he, the emperor, he should have it, and not the rich people. Yeah. So he set Rome on fire and took all the property, and then it became property of the crown.
Mm.
In the same way, the English crown did the same thing. This is why Jamaica, Canada, all these different were what they were property of the crown of England. So it's nothing new under the sun. This is again we see today how many countries are still under the crown of England today? How many are of the Commonwealth of the crown? So this is again the English crown borrowing what Rome was already doing. So I'm just showing you over time how in 2,000 years, three different empires are doing the exact same thing. Rome did it, England copied it, and America is copying it in the same capacity. And I yield. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you for that. That was a great, phenomenal, excellent biblical principle presentation. I was thankful for learning a lot today. I learned some new things that you was able to show through some of those writings. So I thought that was very interesting. The taxes was actually very required. People actually made sure they got those things together. So wanted to go right into this knowledge today with everyone coming from earlier. So if anyone have any comments or questions on the presentation, maybe anything that maybe has struck your mind, feel free to comment, or I see a few comments in the chat. We was able to get some commentary there. So we're right back into the taxes again. So if anybody's new to this knowledge, our goal is to get the taxes filed as much as possible with our social security card. We'll also be getting our taxes filed with our trust EIN, which will say that's the trust documents that you receive from the treasury. So if anybody's new to this, our goal is to use the revocable living trust as the main key piece that we communicate with. And we're actually on the unincorporated side. So I hope that gave an update to where we are so far. Does anyone have any testimonials from earlier that we spoke on about getting started with the software? And I'll be going into a diagram in just a moment to show you all an illustration of the software that we'll be using and how you're able to navigate through this software that we'll be able to help you do as well. See any comments or questions so far before I go into that?
Yeah, I had a comment.
All right, we got Brother Seven had his hand raised, and then we got you right next, Brother Kazi. So go ahead, Brother Seven, and then we got Kazi coming in.
Hey, Shalom. Thank you, brother. And good evening and good day to everybody. I just wanted to provide some information that would further substantiate what Brother Melek Trey and you yourself are bringing up as well. Not trying to take too much of the mic, but it does come from a book. I was attempting to find it online as a PDF to share with the chat. However, it is a book that is released hardback or hardcover, so I couldn't find a PDF version. It's the Manual for the Legal Secretarial Profession. It's from the National Association of Legal Secretaries. This came out in 1968 or 74, my bad. It was published in 1974. The reason why I brought this up is because in chapter 3, it discusses the American legal system on page 33. And in there, subsection 43, I'm reading from it here, it describes the legal systems. And it says here that there are two legal systems in use in this world today, the civil law system and the common law system. It said, say you're just a quick brief mention of the civil law system, that the civil law system is a form of jurisprudence based on a series of codes rather than upon the established precedent used used in the common law system. The civil law system originated under the Romans, which is why this is important, because it substantiates brother's point. And then it also states here that it is also known as the Roman law. So civil law, they recognize it here as Roman law. Today, as the brother who after me is going to mention about, he mentioned about France. Ironically enough, it mentions France here. It says that today, France is one of the principal civil law countries in the world, and its legal system is based on the Code Napoleon. The reason why this is important is for the next paragraph. It says that the civil law system emphasizes the rights of the state or the government as opposed to the rights of the individual. For example, in a criminal case, the accused is considered guilty until he proves himself innocent. Compared with the common law system, the civil law system is regarded as a rather harsh system of law. Countries which use the civil law system include most of the European countries, Central American, and South American countries. The reason why I brought this up is it does further substantiate that they in the world, in this legal system, they recognize these two different forms of laws that are at play. We can look up quickly if you in Florida, Florida statute 2.01 discusses the common law being being active and effectual, even though that comes from New England, which is mentioned as here as well. And that taps into the doing business in the realm that you're doing business with your name that goes into the soap prop, as the brother mentioned in the chat with the form. I found that in Florida statutes 501.171, where it discusses a clear difference between a individual and by tax class, and then a sole prop, where a sole prop, a partnership, a corporation, a trust, that's why we're discussing trust and sole prop and filing the taxes, an estate, a corporative or an association or other commercial entities that require, maintain, stores, or uses personal information. These are considered covered entities in the eyes of the Roman law or the coded law. So this is why it's important to, show the distinction between one operating as an individual by tax classification, which is what we're going to see. And it's going to show the difference between that as an individual and a sole prop. And then the very system out here recognizes that the sole prop is separate in terms of it being, dealt with. It's not dealt the same as an individual. So not to go too much into it, but I just want to provide some kind of reference point from the book that I got this information out of, and then the statutes that are real time that we can look up in today's time. But that's all. Appreciate you. I yield the mic.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great response, man. I had a few comments I wanted to give as a question to what you were saying too. But we're gonna let Brother Kazi get in. I think he had his thought and he was next on the mic.
Yeah, peace and blessings, man. Thank you, everybody. First of all, man, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. I just wanted to give a little side comment on the walkthrough process. You know what I mean? You kind of walked me through the process of doing the taxes, and it was very easy. It was very simple. I encourage everybody to go ahead and get that walkthrough because it's very beneficial, and we're on point with everything. I'm ready to go back again now. So an update on that refund. We did everything. We was able to start the process of writing off her debts, my mom's debt, because once my father died, they tried to take the house and everything. But we started getting the process of writing off the house. She got a return of $79,000. It's still taking a little while. We called the IRS, they confirmed it, but I realized after a little bit more that we didn't do the 2848, I think it was. So I like to go back and do that, but everything, we've called them a few times. Everything is good to go, but we just didn't establish that first part of the relationship with between the IRS with the 2848. And that was the first time she's ever had a return in her life of 75 years. So it's understandable that, they came out of the woodworks talking about an old check that she owed or whatever, but we made a payment plan on that. And I just wanted to say that the process of this stuff is very easy with the walkthrough. Once you have the knowledge of it, I didn't really have the knowledge of it. I thought kind of it was going to get wrote off through that, but understanding that we still have a little bit more to do with the bees, and I have to submit certain paperwork when I go to court on the 20th of January, which I'm excited. You know what I mean? So I'm ready to go. I got the total payouts. I have the all my information and stuff ready to go. I'm excited. I just wanted to share that.
That's excellent, man. Excellent response. And thank you for all that of showing that the software is actually making it easier for you, because it did for me too. Like I said, I got into this trust knowledge back in 2017, 18. And man, I didn't understand none of this tax stuff. I just jumped into the software one day and it started to flow easier for me as I practice more. So for anybody that's new, like Brother Kazi saying, don't feel afraid to actually take time within yourself and just log in. Do it on your phone, do it at your computer, do it at your desktop. Just try to get used to dealing with the software, because you have to learn how to communicate with the IRS. This is one of your main communication bases that the Internal Revenue Service, the Treasury, is expecting us to do. They use the IRS as like a gatekeeper almost before we can even get to the Treasury in a way, right? So we're gonna go through all these different layers that we come at them correct, right? They always say come correct. So that'll be our goal. That's why we want to do it in a way where we can comfortably do it and not feel like we're under pressure or we're coming at it like a corporate in some form. So we're going to come at it from the common law or the unincorporated way that we can communicate with the Treasury or the IRS.
I want to add something if I can, Wallace.
Absolutely, absolutely. Go ahead.
I want to reiterate on that when you put up the illustration of the packages that you can get, because I've been on this journey for a while, over 10 years, learning from different people, reading on my own and doing research. But I watched his classes and like spent a couple weeks watching his videos before I contacted him. But I was lost. I was a little confused. But when I paid for that sole proprietor filing in the taxes, it's almost like everything that I learned came together. All the meetings and the Zooms and all that is going to make so much sense after that. And again, I want to reiterate, it'll be the best money you ever spent. And also, I want to add, I looked over that form publication 4681, and I noticed that it had the sole proprietor written on there. I highlighted and put it in a group. But from my research, that sole proprietor is powerful because they don't mention a LLC, they don't mention a corporation or different type of things. It's almost like it's a hidden cheat code. That's it.
Amazing, man. Thank you for that. That's an amazing testimonial, because that does show that you will understand how to do this way faster than the average anyone. So you're getting the most enhanced knowledge that you can get by getting the software that they say professionals are using. So you all are going to become professionals overnight. You don't even got to be all extra professional. You don't have to even talk professional. You just got to just know by using these tools, you're going to be considered professional. That's what we're going to be getting into. If you have a trust, if you have a business, that trust, that EIN, that's a business according to the Treasury. So I went into a little bit with the software, but I wanted to make sure that we're getting right into the knowledge that we need to, because some of this stuff may be difficult to follow. So we're going to give y'all some screens to kind of give you an idea of how the screens look, and make sure that the screens make sense rather than some things that I may be saying. And look at this, bro. Right on time. Brother Vince came in as well. Either Brother Vince or myself, any of us are saying, we want to show you how it looks on the screen sometimes too. So what you have to do eventually, you're going to get right back at the same start of after you do your B's, after you do all the information, you're going to still have to know how to do your 1040. So everyone's going to end up at this point right here in America, right? So let's say we got 300 million people in America, right? Everyone has to do their taxes, right? So we learned that it's not about, I should say, everyone has to do it in a way where they're by themselves or anything, right? So we're going to learn how to do this with the software. So the least we can do is have a login, and you log into the software. This is where we're saying everybody needs to get to at a certain point. So that's our first thing. So if you're new to this and you're like, hey, I did the 1099Bs, I did the A's, I did this, what's next? This is what's next. You have to be able to have the confidence to log in on your phone, log in on your laptop. You can use your iPhone, you can use your smart device, whatever it is, to freetaxusa.com. That's what we're going to say. Most people are starting at. So any comments or questions or shares on the visuals of what it's going to look like to you? Because some of us are new to this. We never knew that we had to actually do this part. Some of us may have just mailed something in to the treasury, to the IRS, and said, hey, this is what I did. I turned in my Bs. I turned in my 1040. What's next? So we're going to go and prove that we want to make sure that you all are doing the electronic filing way. We don't want you to do the mail-in way. We want to make sure everybody that's doing this information, we focus on the electronic. And I yield the mic for now for anyone who has comments, questions, or shares.
Yeah, let me make a little public service announcement, y'all. Y'all have to realize that me and Wallace, we are a team. You know what I'm saying? And if you are in Wallace's group, don't ask me for help because this is taken away from Wallace. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? So this is taken away from my phone, keep ringing. So all these messages, can you help me? Can you help me? If you're already going through the program, do your due diligence and keep rolling with it. You know what I'm saying? We're going to the same place. You know what I'm saying? We're all going to the same bullseye. So when y'all hitting me up talking about, yeah, I'm from Wallace's class, well, you stick with Wallace. You know what I mean, Wallace?
Absolutely, Vince. I'm here, man. We're all instructors. We all been working on this for
Yeah.
the last since 2022. You've been an instructor at University Technicians. We got other brothers here that's instructors, and we're all here to work together. You're absolutely right. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you're with me, yeah, of course, I'm going to walk you through everything. By the time they get to you,
That's
things
what
should be flow, right?
I mean, I just want everything to be organized. Like if you're in here, we all going on the same path, everybody. Everybody's going on the same path. But if you're in this group, this is where you stay. Because at the end of the day, we're at the same bullseye, period. Nothing more, nothing less. So all those messages, can I join you? Go here. No, you're where you need to be. You know what I'm saying? You're where you need to be. And I just wanted to say that. Now I got to get back to my losing football game.
Oh man, yeah, that's great. That's great. All right, thank you, Vince, for coming. But are we on the right track though with this electronic? Do you agree to this part that most of us are we supposed to be mailing things into the IRS? What would you be doing? Would you be using this software or would you be mailing things in?
I would be e-filing my stuff in. Now, you can mail it in if it's later than 3 years. If it's more than 3 years old, you would mail it in. But you should be e-filing everything. Just like your A's and B's, when you e-file it, the IRS is sending it to them. That's shit. You see what I'm saying? So they have to pay the taxes on that, our beneficial interest, and then they'll send it back on their second 1099B. Everything that we're doing, we're just showing and proving. We're proving what we're doing. They send us back to second 1099B. That shows and prove when you go in to verify yourself. You go in there with your 1040, your driver's license, and your 1099Bs, and they'll escalate your taxes because they're going to verify you. Making sense, y'all? Making sense?
Absolutely, man. It's making perfect sense to me. This is making it easier.
Right. And
Anybody
that's
say?
why, and that's like even if y'all dealing with court cases and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? If you're dealing with court cases and stuff like that, I'm just like, look, what holds more weight? Your administrative process? Oh, woe is me. According to CFR 3092, color of law, or an important taxable event from the IRS? What holds more weight, y'all?
Yeah, you already know the IRS holds more weight because it's the IRS.
Exactly. So I'm just saying, only thing that y'all need to realize is once y'all go through this program, y'all look at things differently. Let's do the math. Everything's a taxable event. They send you a bill, that's my beneficial interest. Those are the three things you need to realize. Once you get your status and everything corrected, you live your life accordingly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm
I
just saying
mean,
that.
this amazing, man. I don't know if anybody's here that wants to ask questions about. I don't want anybody to feel offended that you're not sidestepping me. If you've already been a member, of course, we've already been communicated. So don't feel. I know Brother Kazi put himself saying, "No, it's not you, Brother Kazi, or anybody that's in the group or anything." So we just want to make sure everyone feel comfortable. Don't I mean, Brother Vince has been part of the network since 2020, since 2019, I think 2020.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah,
Oh, ain't nothing.
absolutely.
It ain't nothing against you, Perry, man. I'm not saying. What y'all got to realize is y'all going through the same program. Period. So why would you come over here when you already on the right path? We come from the same cloth, y'all. There's nothing different. You know what I mean? Y'all just got to do y'all due diligence, take your time, so y'all can get into the hurry up and wait mode. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is good, right? We'll talk about that later too. The hurry up and wait.
He,
But
he,
we are gonna have a big meeting. I joined this school app. If you don't mind, I mean, we have a meeting with everybody. We don't care. We just talking our mess. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want to join, y'all can. It's a school app, and I'll put it in the Telegram group. But I know who you are when I see your name. You know what I mean?
Oh, great.
Don't be
So put
trying to
it.
sneak out the back door, goddamn. I know who you is. You know what
Hey,
I mean?
hey.
Hey, let's go, let's go.
So this is gonna be some more knowledge that we gonna be, we're just gonna be politicking and talking our mess like we always do. You know what I mean? I'll put the link in the Telegram group because we're meeting tomorrow at 7. This is come all one come all. I've been putting this in my Facebooks and everything. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Yeah,
So
thank
basically,
you. Thank you for
so
telling us this and getting us ready.
yeah, it's just, I mean, like I said, this is just something extra for y'all. You know what I mean? Keep it moving. Keep the
Exactly.
knowledge moving, said the man. Keep the knowledge moving.
Yeah, man, you're
That was,
doing great. We just want to make sure we're on the basic fundamentals to explain it, re-explain this. That's why I wanted to ask your opinion on the e-file because we want to make sure everyone's clarified based on your teachings as well, which we're all teaching the same in our own ways. As making sure we're e-filing. We're actually e-filing things first for the first 3 years, last 3 years. But if you want to get those years that's in the past, you got to mail those in, which we understand you can still type it in the software and you can print it out and mail it in as well. So there's ways that you can do that as well. We'll talk about.
right. And we'll be going over some of that stuff too because that new address up in Philly. We don't do certified mail no more. We don't do registered mail. We send
Okay,
it
good.
FedEx.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, that
FedEx
sounds.
because they got to sign. They
Mm-hmm.
actually got to sign when it's FedEx, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Come on now.
Yep,
Let's
UPS or
get it.
FedEx. Hey man, you own to something because I read it on the IRS website recently. So that's some good stuff that you even talking about right there.
Hmm. Yeah. So let me get on out of here. My team is losing, but
No,
I'll put that link in the group so everybody can come on in. We can all politic. I
absolutely.
think
Absolutely,
it's gonna
sir.
be big. All right.
Yeah,
Peace and love,
type it in
y'all.
the
Peace and
Telegram.
love.
Appreciate it. We'll get the Telegram out to everybody here.
All
All
right.
right,
Cool beans.
peace,
Peace.
prosperity.
All right now.
Wallace,
Yes, sir.
I
Greetings,
got
Blue Nova.
I got a question for you. When
Absolutely.
doing 1099 A's or B's, I can't remember one exactly. What would be your opinion on doing one with a QSIP versus doing one without a QSIP? Because from my research, I believe it could be done if the QSIP isn't on there. What's your opinion?
Right. So my opinion is I would go ahead and file my taxes on everything anyway. And then once I get the QSIP, I will file it again. right? So the way I'm thinking is I'm still required to file the taxes, so I have to file what I can. So I have the case number on there. I'll do whatever I can. And if I had to get the QSIP later, because you have to pay for those from a broker, like you say, the Series 7 broker, they have a software that they can look up the QSIPs, and it costs like $3,000 to $5,000 to have their software every month. I don't know. It's a lot of money. So long story short, you have to get that QSIP number from them eventually. But if you don't have it, yeah, I would still file the taxes on it. It's just my opinion. Okay, so we still got things going with the software. So I thank you all for just still staying with this knowledge, and we're here to work on this together in real time. I don't want anybody to feel that this takes a very long time to do. So if you're using this software and you're logged in, some of us probably logged in by now, created a new account by now or something, right? We're using freetaxusa.com. And the reason you're using this is because you want to be able to update yourself in their system as quick as possible. This is the treasury system. I'm not going to go into videos of proving today where I'm getting information, but I got all this information from irs.gov. It led me to Free Tax USA and then the other software for 1041. We'll talk about that later. So if you all are dealing with your 1099s for the first time, for some reason, Free Tax USA, they're able to add all those 1099s on here for you. So you can electronically file those 1099s right here. So even if you didn't use the other software, you can use the 1099s as well in this layer right here. So I'll show you where you're not going to see the 1099A, but you will see the Schedule C. So you'll get through this software right here, the income selection. You'll have to understand your Schedule C, which is here. And you'll also have to understand your other investments right here. So it goes into your investments and savings. So they're not going to show you the B. It'll just say it right here amongst these right here. So your B is really right here under your wages. So some of us have to understand your investments and savings that I was telling you about. Like once you put everything you save your soul, all your savings is being calculated every year. It's a lot easier for you. But if you're new to this and you're not doing this, it's a difficult journey to just jump right into and get started. It takes you up to a year to file those deposits that you do when you're doing the 1099B in the revocable living trust. At least that's just my opinion. That's just me. I mean, but some of us may be able to backfile correctly if you understand how to do that. And you can backfile and file the Bs, which goes for the personal account. All right, so anybody have any comments, questions, or shares where you'll be doing the 1099Bs through the software? They're actually here under investments and savings. Any questions or thoughts so far? All right, so let's keep going. Next, you'll be dealing with your 1099C. So that'll be people that are dealing with cancellation of debt. This software actually allows you to put the C on here, and they'll generate a form after you do this. So that's over here, you'll see canceled debt. So over here on the right, you'll see 1099C. Right where my cursor is, right here on the right. It's under installment sale, and you'll click on cancel debt. You do have to fill this form out correctly, so we do have a walkthrough of how you fill this out correctly. So be sure to understand canceled debt has to be numbered based upon the debt that you didn't pay. So all the debt that you didn't pay or you cannot pay is considered canceled debt, according to the IRS. You still can do the 1099B, and you also can do the 1099A. So you'll actually be filing all three of them. You'll file the C, the B, and the A. Any questions on this? Because this can seem backwards sometimes. It's not backwards. It's just something showing that you can still backfile things if you understand correctly what you're doing.
So from what you're saying, you're gonna do an A and B first, and then your 1040, then go back and do the 1040 with the Schedule C. When you're done with that, then you're gonna do the 1099C.
No. It's all simultaneous right now.
Okay.
We're doing all of it
It's
simultaneous.
still simultaneous. Gotcha.
Mhm. All your numbers are still simultaneously listed because if I didn't pay the debt all year, right? Let's say the credit card debt is considered canceled debt.
Right, right.
I didn't pay it. The credit card is closed, right? The car debt, the car is repossessed. It's canceled debt. I have to list the debt.
And it states that in 4681 publication also.
Correct. Exactly. So that's where you're getting your information from. And you have to input that into their system. That's why I'm telling you this way, because their computer way, the way they look at it at the computer has to show up the way they want to see it. Okay, we got Sister Sandra has her hand raised.
Yes, if I want to keep my credit card open, then I would not file the C, right? But I would just want to pay off the existing debt.
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that question. The short answer is yes. You would want to pay it off and you will not file a C. So you do not file a C if you know you're going to pay off the bill, pay off the credit card, pay off the loan, whatever it is, right? And let's say it's on time. Let's say it's paid off and it's on time, right?
Right.
You
Yes.
wouldn't do a 1099-C. Correct. Does
Thank
that
you.
make sense? I mean, does that
Yes.
give clarity to everyone?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Do you have to pay to file the 1099 on their website?
That's a great question. I'm glad you said that. No, the short answer is no, you do not pay. It is free, 100% free. So if you file this with this software, it'll be 100% free. Now, there is an offer in here that if you want to pay for a CPA or a tax person that you want to call, or you just want to feel safe and, hey, I just want to still hire a tax person, that option is available on this software as well.
I have a question, Wallace. Okay,
Yes.
how would you, what are certain forms you have to use to pay off the debt? I just heard you tell young lady you don't have to use a C to cancel the debt, but to pay off the debt is a certain documents you have to you have to use to pay it off, whether it's a
Yes.
credit card or whatever, or loan or
Yes, absolutely. There's certain documents you have to
uh
use with the trust, the way we're saying
okay,
it, with the
okay,
trust,
with the
right? The
trust, okay,
revocable trust
right.
to see it being paid off, right?
So which documents would they be? They be also the IRS documents, certain documents of the IRS,
Well,
the
the
1099s.
yes, there you go. The 1099s.
Yeah,
That's what we're talking
I
about now.
meant the 1099s. Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. That's
So
what we're talking. Yep.
okay, so to pay it off, would I have to do an
Mm-hmm.
OID. Oh,
No. You're skipping something. You
okay,
got
okay.
the A, and what's next?
Oh, the B,
There you go.
the
That's
B, the
it.
B.
Don't skip. Don't skip. That's
He
what we've
said,
been
"Don't
taught.
skip, don't skip."
That's
Okay,
everybody here, right? So if you
right.
don't skip, yeah,
To pay off a loan or a bill, I have to use the A and the B,
correct.
not the C to cancel it.
Because if you cancel, that means you're not paying it. That means you couldn't pay it off.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm glad you said that. So I would just I use and I would use my revocable trust and use the A and the B with the
Mm-hmm.
1099.
Yes,
And that's how I will pay off bills or loans or whatever. Correct?
correct. That's the mind that you have to be in. You're using the revocable living trust. You're
Mm-hmm.
the sole proprietor.
Right.
You're writing off the bills. You're writing off the debts. You're writing off the expenses. You're paying them.
Right. Right.
That's the way you're
And
thinking.
that's how I will pay them. Correct?
Well, yes, in that mindset.
And that mindset, yes, of course.
Yes. I have to say in that mindset
You
because
right. You right,
some
Wallace.
have to admit to this because you have to admit that you're either paying the debt, the bill, or the expense, or you're in the mind at the moment, which most of us, I started there. It's no problem with this. There's nothing wrong with the cancellation of debt, right?
Right.
Start off with the cancellation if that's where we are.
But okay, so now let me reiterate. Let me make sure I got this right. I would to pay off a loan or a bill or whatever.
Hmm.
I would use my revocable living trust and the 1099 A and B.
Yes, when you
Right.
file that form, you need to add it to where?
Okay, when I file these forms, I need to add it.
Here on this software. That's what
Oh,
I'm
yes,
showing you.
yes, yes, yes. Okay,
You add it
yes.
here. You add
Yeah,
it here.
on the software. Yes, yes.
Yes, there we go. Those numbers are added here on the software.
Okay. Do you have something where I remember I did this a while ago because I remember Vince because I was with Vince back, listening to him. But I sent all this stuff. I said, and I see now I didn't have all the documents. Like you said, the trust. I didn't have no trust. I ain't used no trust. But I did B's and A's and all that. I said, well, hell, no wonder nothing ain't come because I ain't have everything to send with it. But
No
people
problem. No
people
problem.
give you bits and pieces of stuff, and I'm sure everybody can relate to that.
Well,
Especially,
it's not that anyone gave you bits and pieces. It's more of the mind that we just mentioned earlier that you want
yeah,
to start with. You don't want to be out of the revocable living trust
right.
the entire time doing this.
Yeah, I see now that everything we do now is handled through a trust. Just like with the government, they work through our constructive trust on the public side, and we doing a revocable living trust on the private side. And I see this how we have to handle business and handle things from now on through a trust.
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to get
Uh-huh.
into how your W-2s, I'll
Okay.
be talking about that just to give us, I know we don't have that much time, it's 8 o'clock,
Hmm.
just to talk about how your W-2s will be added to your revocable living trust also. So yes, you will enter those W-2s and you would
Okay.
be able to enter those as being under the revocable trust.
Oh, okay. So you'll show us how to do that, how that is done also?
Well, that's the software that's here. I'm showing you where
Oh,
you're going to
oh,
be placing that information. So
oh,
some of us
okay.
are still sending the things into the
Yeah,
IRS,
you're
right? So
right.
we're not saying not to, these are the things not to do, right? Do
Okay,
not mail them that
okay.
information,
Do
right?
not mail
So
them.
we got to start all over. Everyone, if we've done that, let's start from scratch.
Okay,
Let's put everything in the software.
okay,
That's where this information needs to go.
okay.
Okay, we got Sister C with their hand raised. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to ask once you file like select the A and the B's, and I don't know if you had that situation since you've been doing it for a while. Like if you have a car or something or property, does the lien get released after they like if they pay them out? I'm trying to understand. Do they release the car lien to you?
Okay, so I want to make sure I grasp your question. So are you asking if you were to file the information into the system
Yeah.
to the IRS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will they release the car loan or I'm sorry, the car loan or what did you say, the loan or the lien?
Well, you saying they paying like the debt is being paid off. So like would the lien be released and you get the title to the vehicle or whatever it is?
No, 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 no.
No.
Not by just entering your 1099s in the system and filing the taxes. It still takes you the processing time, right, of the taxes. And then the funds have to be shown up to the car company. The car company has to get paid to get the title, right?
Yeah.
That's where the funds come from. So if some way that those funds are either used through credit, which we'll talk about later, because some of us will say, hey, I don't have any refunds on my taxes, right? But I want to just get everybody there to get to the point where everything's in the system. So you know what you have to type in the system first.
Oh, so I think I remember of Vince saying once you get the money, I think you pay them and then now you can then
Well,
now.
we can't really say that's what Vince said because this is what it is, right? It's not
Okay.
that Vince said it, is that this is what you're supposed to do, right? If you get the funds from the treasury, they're expecting us to pay what?
The debt.
That's right.
Okay.
That's the hardest part that we're all going to get to. We're going to see where we have to be in fiduciary duty of the fund.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, see? You see what I'm saying? So you get the funds back from the treasury, then you go to the car company and say, "Hey, I filed my taxes. Here's the funds. When will I get my title?" And I hope that answers the question to give clarity. And I yield.
Yeah, that answer. Thank you.
Any questions or thoughts? Go ahead.
I have another question, Wallace. So
Okay.
when we get the money or the credits. I'll say credits because they know when we get the credits back from the treasury, then that's when, like what you was telling the young lady, that's when we pay off whatever debt or bill or car loan, whatever we pay off. When we get when they give us the money or credits.
That is correct, based upon your books.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's books looks different. Everyone has
Right.
different numbers and stuff, right? So yes, I mean we have to, even if we can't pay it all the way off, let's say you get a refund back,
Okay.
you gotta go ahead and pay some percentages on it. Set up a
Okay.
payment plan. Do something.
Okay.
It will go away.
So
Usually after
whatever balance, or like say on the car or whatever balance on the loan, then when you get the money or the credits from the treasury, then when you cash the check, then that's when you go ahead and pay it off. Correct?
right, right. Or whatever
Okay.
way you can keep that up to date. Let's say
Okay.
you can just bring it up to date and then you can just, make payments on it, right? Till next
Okay.
year you get more money to pay it off. So the goal is to get everything on time in
Okay.
the system
Right.
so that the checks can continually come to us and we can continually pay our bills and pay our debts.
Oh, and that's how you do it.
That's how everyone's supposed to do it. And that's the
Oh.
way I am supposed to do it too.
Oh. Okay. So that's how everybody. Okay. I will. Thank you for that. Thank
No
you.
problem. No problem. Absolutely. I want to make sure I give clarity
Yes.
to the way it looks, right? Because we have a lot of things that's happening out here, but we want to make sure you get clarity to what it looks like.
Yes.
So we have to do some work. We got to put the
Yes, we
work
do.
in,
Yeah, you're right. You got to put the work in. You're right about that.
work into the software and then type our numbers in. Next we got your schedule C. I haven't got into that yet, which will
Okay.
get into your sole prop. But let's take a break real quick onto
Okay.
the IRS website, just kind of show you all some background.
Okay.
Anybody else had a thought? I
Bro-
can't see anybody's face or anything.
Brother Wallace, I wanted to add that after I received the funds and I paid all these entities, that same year I'm going to file that as my expenses, the same thing I just paid them
Hmm.
on the new year. You see what I'm saying? After 2026, if you got your money back and you paid off your car loan, then when you file your taxes, we're gonna put that on the taxes, correct?
Well, I mean, if once you have the bill, you just continually keep the bill on the taxes until it's paid off.
Right, but I'm saying if you wanted to pay the whole thing off.
Yeah, if you want to pay the whole thing off, it's going to be listed on your Schedule C, and
Yep.
then you're going to intend to get the funds to pay off the entire amount. That's the goal. It could be a mortgage, it could be a car loan, it could be a bank loan. We have to list those. So that's why we get into why the IRS is going to show this information on your transcripts right here. So some of us are new to this. That's why they say get your transcripts. So you need to order those transcripts. All of us need to do this. No one can see your knowledge or your information of yourself except for you, because this is your individual online account. This goes right into my info about the IRS. The Treasury updated you all in 2020. They went 100% online. And that's why things started to slow down on us in the system.
What do you put in? What do you put in there to get your transcripts? A certain information you got to put in there. So, cause I had tried this too, and it seemed like I guess nothing ain't happened. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I
Yeah,
don't know.
you gotta. This is how you can view your documents in real time. You get your transcripts. You can see how much you owe if you owe the Treasury. You can look at our payment history. If you see your prior year, all your different information, they may ask you, what was your AGI in 2022? The Treasury may ask you that question over the phone. And when we don't answer that question, they're going to lock the return. I'm sorry to tell you all, this is what
I
they
want
do.
to ask you. I want to ask you this too, Wallace. A person that's on disability or disabled, can they do this also?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. They send you this SS document every year. The 1099, the Social Security office sends it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we already got people that's done that.
So I could do that along with, like, with my revocable trust and the A and B that handle my
Well,
bills.
the way you said it, you gotta flip it.
What?
You gotta say with my revocable trust, I can
Huh.
do that along with that, with the because you're saying do the taxes and then the revocable trust.
Oh, okay, wait a minute.
You-
Now say that again. Say that
So,
again.
so you got to have your revocable trust first,
Yeah, I got that. I have that.
and you have to do your taxes as if you're in your revocable living trust,
Oh, okay. And me being
right?
disabled and on disability, I could be able to do that.
You remember you're a sole proprietor, regardless of the status or the benefits.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? Because this,
Yeah.
or does it give clarity? Because you have to file your taxes as a sole proprietor, even though it's on the individual side.
Okay.
This may make more
Sole
details to some people
proprietor.
asking that question. Why do you have me logging into the individual? I thought we got to get out of the individual side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is where you still have to go in and fix the individual side too.
Oh,
So we got to get in here, log into this account too, and
okay.
see the different layers that our individual account
Okay.
and records are as well.
So will we have to change that to sole proprietor, the individual to sole proprietor? That's
Well,
what
on
you're
your
saying?
tax records, it'll show sole prop is where I'm going to get to. I
Oh,
won't be able to
okay.
have too much time this week to get into these
Okay.
detailed layers for you all, but we're going to show you where all the information is online.
Okay.
So there's no secrets at this point. Everything is being disclosed to you. So
Right.
you can see the
Exactly.
A's, you'll see the B's, you'll see the OIDs, all that stuff. It'll show up on your tax record,
Okay.
right? That's for those who are doing those processes.
Okay. Thank you.
Everybody's situation is different, so I just want to make sure that we understand that it's not a cookie cutter to your taxes. It says information return documents to assist in filing your claims. They even give you online claims that you can file online as well. No, this is what the Treasury tells you. The method you use to file your tax return, e-file or paper, and whether you had a balance due affects your current year transcript availability. So that means if you use the paper return, it won't look like it's on your transcript yet. If you did the e-file, it'll probably show up a lot faster. As we understand, the e-file method is available with the Treasury.
Oh, okay.
So this is what Vince was saying right here. He's proving to you all that the Treasury is telling you the e-file method is accepted.
Okay.
So if those things show accepted in the software, the Treasury has accepted it. It's your job to finish the work.
Right. Okay.
You don't see the paper acceptance. They don't usually send that to you quickly, but they do show you, hey, we have received your 1099.
Mm-hmm.
It could be an A, it could be a B, it could be a C, whatever it is. They will respond to you by paper. So if you haven't got those responses, then the Treasury hasn't processed that for you yet.
Oh, okay.
Any
Thank you.
questions or thoughts on this part? Because we got to make sure we understand the communication with the IRS. They will show you some stuff. So here goes the alternative way. If you don't want to do online, you can get it in the mail. It will show up in about 5 to 10 days at your house. So you can do this right here. You just fill out this form, or you can call them. Quick online form. They will send your transcripts. Very easy. Like I say, the IRS has digitized everything. You guys got to go to their websites, and they will help you do this stuff in real time. All right, some of my examples and diagrams I want to show you on the screen. How the IRS doesn't see this because you turned the 1099 in, it paid the bill. So we're disproving all of those claims that you just turned the 1099 in and it paid it. It didn't just pay it because you have to turn in the 1099 on the tax return. So this is, I got this out of the IRS office when I walked in. I was able to take a picture of this to show you what they said right here. And they said a form W-2 or 1099 is not an income tax return. They also look at your address. That's one of their key factors. If you change that address, I'm sorry. If you change that address, the IRS does kind of slow down the return. If you change addresses, for some reason, they like to use the address you put on the return. You could be like, oh no, I wanted you to update this address to this, but they like to go along with the address that you had on file. So for anybody having any delays on that, it could be that your address is delayed in the system as well. Any questions or thoughts to this part? Because this helps prove that you're just not sending in the 1099s, and those things by itself have done all the work. So you can't just send only the 1099s in.
Wallace, I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, sir. If I'm not using the 1099 to pay the property taxes, and I'm using cash, I still gonna be able to clean it in the Schedule C?
Right. Once again, to make sure that you're claiming it, we're going to show a screen to what you're saying, right? So you're going to claim it through the revocable trust. Oops, I missed
Correct.
that part. Yeah,
Yes.
so you go to that screen where it says revocable trust, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can go. So when you go through the revocable trust, that's going to be the one that you're going to deal with when you claim everything. So let me see if I can get that screen back up. So when you do your taxes, the Schedule C is added to your 1040, like we said with the software. But you have to make sure that the sole proprietor is activated because you have the revocable living trust.
Yeah, it's activated.
Right. So that's the part that you have the EIN. So as long as you can prove that you have that EIN that I just showed the screen on, let me see if I can show the screen now. So do you have the EIN for the revocable trust as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So this will be the screen that you go by so that you can go ahead and type that you are the fiduciary or the trustee of a revocable trust. We see the option here is trust. So if you have that option, then when you do your Schedule C and your 1099s, you should be able to claim all of your credits that you're supposed to claim on the 1099B, the beneficial interest B, but you have to be able to type that information still into the software.
Okay.
So it still goes right back to that same layer that I just mentioned. Once you get all your 1099s out there, you're right back at that screen that I was showing earlier right here.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
So you'll be typing that information that has been accepted by the Treasury into the system here.
yeah.
And that's it. That's really how everything works, you all. That's the Social Security card, the Social Security number. We even go to people who have the disabilities and Social Security benefits. We're showing it right here. That's your SSA 1099. So yes, everybody that's receiving Social Security, you still can do this process if we call this a process. Now, you can't claim all the Social Security benefits back, but you can claim the bills, the expenses, and the debts. You know, don't try to claim the funds from the government. Try to claim the funds from the corporations.
Okay. Thank you.
I was just hoping that everyone sees these layers to where all the information goes. So if you got a different 1099s that you got to type in, you got to type all that stuff in first. Then you do your 1099 A's, your B's, and your C, if you have to do a C. Any questions or thoughts on this? And then we get into your Schedule C, because that's your business income. And that brings us on the business side. Okay, go ahead, Sandra. I see your hand.
I have a couple quick questions. When you said look up your transcript, is that the same as having an ID me account?
Yes, I would say if you have to sign in, they say right here. So
Mhm.
this screen right here, I think that's what you're saying. I would click here.
Yeah, they call it the ID me account.
Yes, that is correct. So
Yeah,
yes,
there it
you would
is.
have,
Okay,
you
I
can't get
see it.
past those. You can't get past that part right there. If you don't
Okay.
have the ID.me, then the
And,
Treasury or the IRS doesn't let you enter into that account.
and that's where you find your transcripts.
That is correct. That's how you get your information in real
Okay.
time. So you can see if you have the A, the B, the Schedule C showing up on your transcript. So that's going to
Okay.
be our homework for next week. I'll show you all next week to make sure that you see a transcript that shows the Schedule C.
Okay, that was question number one. Question number two, you said don't say Vince, but he makes a statement that when you get one bill, then that means you file a 1099A and two 1099Bs. What is that second 1099B about?
For the second 1099B, we'll go
Yes.
right here on the investments and savings, because that'll be the beneficial interest B. We just call that the beneficial interest B. University technicians coins that phrase by saying that more instead of just saying the second B, because, you know, we'll say that's your beneficial interest B because it's coming from the company that you paid the bill to.
And the first B is
you're the payer, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to say the 1099B that puts you as the payer. You don't have to put that on this right here. So you don't put that B right here. You put the B, that's the beneficial interest here. So just for those who are saying, I'm going to put the A and the B, you can't put the A and the B on this software. You can put the A and the B through the Schedule C right here. Then you put your beneficial interest B, which is the second B that everyone calls the second B. You put your beneficial interest B right here under investments and savings, just to give you all an answer to clarity of where that information goes.
So your first 1099B would go on 1099 B.com or 1099.com. Where would your first B go?
It will go on the Schedule C.
On the
That's what I'm
schedule.
getting to. So that's why I'm trying to get you all to the
Okay.
business side, because you all are still on the, remember, this is common income right here. Once I got you all with the common income typed in, the common money, the common cash, and all these things right here, now we can move you to the trust side. That's where you get into the business income.
Okay.
So that's where
Last,
the B goes right here on the business income side, that first B.
and you're going to go into more of that next week.
Yes, due to our time, we're
Right.
gonna have to close out in about 10 minutes. We're gonna be closing out.
Okay, last quick question. Address change. So you said that IRS doesn't like it, and my address is changed from the one that's on my EIN.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a form or something I need to fill out or
Right. Or you have to call them on the phone.
call? Okay,
That's the fastest route. So for those who are wanting to get the fastest route, to call them.
okay,
Depends on what side you're calling on. The 1040 side, you have to call a certain number that we use. And you have the 1041 side, we call a specific number too.
okay. It will be for the 1041 side.
No problem. This is a 1040. Everything we're talking about today,
You have
100%.
those numbers, Wally?
Okay.
The two numbers for the 10 you call the IRS with?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we have those numbers. We can mail it. Not mail, I'm sorry. We can send it to you in the chat. You just got to log in University Tech, and then we'll send you the numbers in the chat.
Okay.
I think I listed the numbers. No. I think
No, I
we
ain't see no numbers in the chat.
no, we didn't list it in the publication yet. So no problem. So that would be the way you all can communicate. If you want to call them, that'll be a fast route. If you want to start talking to the Treasury or the IRS. Okay, let me go back to that diagram I showed you a moment ago. I wanted to show you all an example of the before we close, of how it looked to me when you get that information from the Treasury. Let me see where it shows. Okay, so I got a lot of stuff to show. I don't have that much time this week to show you, but I just wanted to show just one example of how it looks when you get the document. That they say about refunds. And I think somebody had to ask that question about how many years can you claim it up. So I think it was mentioned that you only can claim up to 3 years. So we have a direct document from the IRS or the Treasury that you only can claim up to 3 years. So we're getting this information straight from the Treasury. So for those who say, why do you say 3 years? Why are you saying that I can claim the money back 3 years? Well, this is what the Treasury says. They say you may file a claim. They didn't say that they're going to give it to you. Right? So that means that you have to file the tax return to claim the refund. They even tell you right here, if you think you paid too much tax. So that means you get the overpayment and you also get the refund money back. So that's your beneficial interest B that Brother Vince is coming in with you all, giving you all advanced information about the beneficial interest B, which you get that through the revocable trust. You only get the beneficial interest through the revocable living trust. You don't just get it because you just have a sole prop or you just, it's just a person. No, it's through the revocable trust. You must generally file the claim within 3 years. So that means you can't go all the way back 10 years, even though you feel that the trust was created when you were a baby or you were born, right? So you can go back that far if you choose, but they won't really honor all those claims easily if it's the 3 years that you haven't filed yet haven't even been done. So don't start in the past and then try to move into the future. Always start in the now. Make sure you file in 2025, then you go back to 2024. After you file 2024, then you go back to 2023, and so on. That's the way it's supposed to go. Just for those who want to make sure you're going in the right direction with filing your claims in the 3 years from the date. They also say 3 years from the date you filed your original return or 2 years from the date you paid the tax. Sometimes they'll break it down to 2 years so that you don't try to go all the way back 3 years because it's late. Whichever is later. The law generally provides for interest on your refund if it is not paid within 45 days of the date you filed your return or claim for refund. That's right. So this is where they're telling you right in your face, you're supposed to claim your refund. They don't tell you anything. It's up to us. We have to claim all the refunds back. And they tell you right here, publication 556, examination of returns, appeals rights, and claims for refunds has more information on refunds. So that's when they may examine your return. They may say, hey, we're looking at your return. This may be some things on here we don't understand. Any last thoughts, comments, or shares on this information we went over today about refunds and software? I know it's a lot to cover in just a night, but we did go through some biblical principles, which took up a good chunk of making sure we had the background and the origin of all this knowledge and information and where it's coming from and why taxes are important and why you're not doing anything wrong because all of a sudden you're thinking of doing your taxes and filing your taxes. So I yield for now and give anyone else the opportunity to speak on any of your last questions, comments, and closeouts. Thank you.
Do file when you file all these 1099s on your returns, if I'm trying to get like a mortgage or something, would that affect me in any type of way?
When you say specifically when you say a mortgage collection or a mortgage
No,
claim, which
like if
one?
I want to go buy a property and you know how you normally got to give your tax return if you buying a house or something, would that affect in any type of way, like when they look at your transcript?
Yes, your transcript will say you can give them your Schedule C, which we'll get into your business income information next week. Because
Oh,
you got to
so
prove you're on the business income side of because the revocable trust is a business.
no, I'm okay. So the mortgage company, when I give them my tax return, there is not going to be an issue if they see all these 1099s on the on my document on my tax returns.
They're not going to see all those 1099s.
Or they're not. Oh, okay.
So I understand what you're saying, but they're going to see probably the one that has your Schedule C.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know specifically which transcript they're going to get. They may get the 1099 ones, but I don't know why you would give them the transcript. So you're saying you have to give them the transcript
Well,
for the
not the,
mortgage?
well, I don't think, well, not the, I think you give them the whole tax return. Normally, when you're doing a mortgage,
Okay.
when you're going to buy a property, you give them your two years tax return.
Correct. And that goes right into my notes that I was talking about today. I didn't get a chance to fully go through all of our notes,
Mhm.
but that was written a little bit. So let me read a little bit of that note to kind of show what you're talking about. So what you're saying is you have to give pretty much the entire amount of the bill. You have to file the taxes on that bill at the time that you're doing it. And then you're going to take the taxes or the 3 years of your tax returns for 1040, take to the bank for a line of credit to create a secured loan or secured credit card. That's your end goal. Once you do that, then you pay the mortgage. It could be a down payment. It can be just your first, be the down payment plus your first months or 3 months, whatever you want to do. That's the way you're supposed to pay all the bills through the trust. Now I'm doing it in a way, but I don't have as much, I guess, funds or cash flow to just pay off a whole mortgage yet. But I will as I begin to understand the beneficial interest. But for those who have the 2 years of your tax returns, 3 years, that's what you take to the bank. So those want to know, what is the whole point? The whole point, if I don't have any money coming in from the treasury yet, I still can use my tax returns, take them to the mortgage company, take them to the bank, taken to the car companies, I still should be able to get a line of credit or something, right? So I hope that answers the question for that.
Okay, yeah. One more question. If I know you said you're gonna like if we do the program with you for the tax, getting the tax done with you, and the tax, I think the earliest date is in January to start putting in for your tax return. January at the end of January. But if I have like say a court case and I wanted to file the A and Bs for it now, would that conflict? Do I have to wait, I guess, to do the program with you in order to file the tax return? Or would I be able to still do the A and B for the court case and then I guess I don't know, do it again?
Right. So there's layers of everything. So in order to do your court cases, we went over that part where you have to have it on the county record in some form on the public records. So this is an example of it being on the public records in order to do those court cases from those calls we talked about in the past. So it is not a simple thing to do the court cases. It is your job and due diligence to get this on the county record. Now, if you cannot get it on the county record in the county that you are in, if you get it on the county record in any part of your state, you would accomplish that mission as well. So at any county that's in your state. Another layer is maybe you didn't do it in the county that's in your state. Maybe you do it at a county that's in another state. That's fine. But the goal is to get it on the county record if you're dealing with a court case.
Not that I'm talking about the A's and B, the 1099s.
Yes, to do those. You can't do those if you don't have it in the revocable trust. Right. So there's
Yeah.
no way to do the A and the B for the court cases until you have the revocable trust. And then the revocable trust gives you the tax, fiduciary power to file the A, to file the B.
I already have all of that done because I have all of that from last
Okay.
year doing
Okay,
that.
great.
Yeah.
So good. So that's the first layer when you say a court case, just for those who are listening. You just don't want to jump into doing the A's and the B's on the court cases, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so
Yes.
if you do have that done, then you can do that.
Yes. There you go.
So now, since you say you can do that, I was trying to find out, being you said you're gonna do the tax return if we join your program, you do the tax return with us, would have to wait in order to file that, or could I still do the court case and then I guess the earliest that you can send in the tax return is I think January 27th or something like that.
No problem. Like to kind of give clarity, we only walk you through a program. So you're doing the program. We're just walking you through and, you're sharing your screen. So what we're doing is helping you turn in that information if it's due. So if you're talking 2025, 2025 isn't ready yet. So if anybody's trying to do 2025, you can't turn that information in until January next year, which is January 2026.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps with 2025. Now, if you're going to amend 2024, if you've already done it, then you can do that, or you can file 2024 if you haven't filed it yet. Same with 2023. If you need to amend it, then you can amend 2023, or you can file 2023 if you haven't filed that yet.
No, I was saying do 2025, but file the court case file the A and B for the court case as well. Wouldn't I need to put that on my 1040?
Well, you can't do that for 2025 yet. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Oh, okay.
It's not ready because they're not going to process it yet.
Okay. All right. Thank
You
you.
see what I'm saying? Because December 31st, 2025 hasn't happened yet in their system. Does that make sense? So because
Yeah, I was saying it is well, they said the earliest you can give it in is January 27th.
right, the end of January.
Yeah.
Correct. Right.
So I was gonna still file, say, my 1099-A and B, and then I'm trying to find out if I can still file that. And I guess when the tax return is due, then I guess I add that onto the tax return, or would I
No.
need? Okay.
All that's simultaneous. That's why we say when you come to us, everything is done the same day, and you get your results within 24 to 48 hours.
Okay. So
That's the way it works. So all the A's have to be done. They have to be accepted. The B's have to be done. They got to be accepted. You got your taxes on the beneficial interest. B has to be ready to go. Then you get ready to come to us, right? You got to have all your bills of your debts. They got to be ready. You got to have your what's the other things? Your W-2s. Some of us got W-2s. Some of us got 1099s. All that stuff has to be ready to go. Then we put that information into the software.
Okay, and then with me having to do my business tax, so would I have my business tax done before I come to you, and then afterwards, after I get my business tax done, that's the document I have ready now to do the 1040 with you?
No, no. We don't mix the business taxes. It's a whole new taxes that you're going to be doing for your sole prop, which is for you. So it doesn't matter how many businesses you have. You can have 3 or 4 businesses. We're still going to ask you how much is the total amount that you pay to run those businesses.
Because I normally have to take my business tax information and I have to transfer that into my personal tax on a 1040.
Exactly. That is correct. So they're going to make you do that if you don't do the route that I'm saying to make sure your Schedule C shows a business income through your revocable living trust. It's what they do to hundreds of millions of Americans every day. They put it on your personal account anyway, even if you have a business. That's just the default. That's the way the system works.
Okay, I guess I'll have to talk to you further. All right, thank you.
I hope that helps because that Schedule C is what you're saying that you're missing. That's what it seems that you're saying.
Okay.
No problem.
I'll let somebody else talk. Thank you. Good night.
Okay, so I think that'll close us out. Anyone have any last closing comments, closing shares, anything else before we end for tonight on our software? We'll get into Schedule C next week and we'll talk about how that's entered into the software also.
Well, this was a good presentation. This is very good. I enjoyed it. And I'll be back next Sunday to learn more. And I just want to say nightfall, everybody, and be safe out there.
Thank you.
And thank you, Wallace, for this.
No problem. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, everyone that's here. I appreciate everyone. And I'm humbled to everything.
Shalom,
We got
shalom.
Constance. Go ahead, Constance, since she had one more thought.
Yeah, I just had a question regarding I loaned a large sum of money out. I was a cash person to an ex to help buy a seller finance home. I also loaned him money for rehab because he flipped houses for a living. I just was wondering because, again, it was another stupid move, but when you loan someone money and you have just like a basic agreement, and then let's say, well, this did happen. So let's say that he used the money to buy a home, but your name's not on it. So if you want to, let's say that he's never going to pay you back, right? And can you file a 1099-C as a loss and gain the credits back as long as you have that contract, that signed contract? Or how would you go about getting that supposed investment back if you loaned it on your individual side? Or how would you get credits at back, like credits refunded or something?
Right. It goes back to your beneficial interest B. So you'll need the one that you paid the funds to. You got your B that you paid the funds. And then you have the beneficial interest B that the other person is giving you back the beneficial interest that you paid.
Okay, so you would file with you as the creditor and them as the debtor.
No, that's a 1099-C. You only, if you're doing it with the cash, it's only the B. There's no 1099-C for if you're saying that you gave cash, right?
Yeah.
Why would there be a cancellation?
Because I'll probably never see it again.
No, it's not. You're just thinking the regular way that everybody thinks about cash. It's about how much money that you gave out is the deposits or the money that you paid. That's what we're saying you're claiming back.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the way it works.
file the B? Is that it? You just file the B and then you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do the beneficial interest, right? Because they're not monetizing the money.
Well, you can do 24% of the total
Okay.
amount on the minimal.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That gives me some hope. So thank you so much.
Constance,
Yeah.
I sent you an email and telegram last Sunday, for the information you was talking about. Can you check, in telegram?
Yeah, I will. Sorry,
Okay.
when I get into my research, I don't get on. Yeah, I'll check. I
Okay.
apologize.
No problem.
Well, thank you all. Thank you all for your comments, your questions, your shares. We're going to be closed out for this week. Thank you for coming in to see the software. And we're going to get into more details of how the software is utilized and how you can do this yourself. So thank you for everything. Peace, love, prosperity.
Thank you, Wallace,
Enjoy.
for this, and thank you.
Thank you, Wallace.
Thank you
Go
all.
home, everybody. Be safe out there. Night